So you have kind of two options, right? You have your organic audience, right? People that you can reach for free, okay? So this might be your personal profile. It might be your business page. It might be Instagram or Facebook. Maybe you have a YouTube channel. Maybe you have LinkedIn. A lot of people have this, right? They start and they have something like an audience on one of these platforms, okay? They have something that they can begin to promote to. And that's where a lot of coaches spend a lot of their time trying to build their business. They focus all their attention on their organic audiences. And that makes sense, right? Because these audiences have something in common usually. And that is that they are typically more receptive to what it is that you have to say. Okay? They maybe know you, they maybe followed you, or they're a friend, or there's someone that has seen you online before. So you aren't a complete stranger to them, okay? So probably the things they have in common are they know you, they hopefully like you in some way, otherwise why are they following you? And they probably trust you. Like I say, I'm sorry about my writing, okay? But you know what? I can't leave that like that. Like you. Now, these things are all really important for making a sale on the internet, okay? Because a lot of the time when someone is trying to display themselves as an online coach, they are seen as, is this person a scam? How do I even know this person's real? Does this actually exist? If I spend money on this thing, am I actually going to get anything? Right? If you've ticked those three boxes, you'll probably have an easier time making some sales, right? Getting some clients. And so a lot of coaches and a lot of business coaches will focus all their attention on this stuff because a lot of the time there's a quick win there. Okay? If you promote organically properly, in the short term, you can make some sales. You can promote your services and you can get the result that you're wanting to. But the problem with this stuff, okay, is that firstly, however, there's also a downside to these audiences, and that is that usually they don't grow very quickly, okay? Unless you are posting viral content every day, unless you are using some pretty sketchy tactics to grow your audience, probably the people that see your offer today are going to be the same people who see your offer tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So we start to get a bit of a burnt out feeling, okay? People are sick of seeing what you're promoting. People are sick of seeing your stuff. They may even end up unfollowing, okay? So the main downside is, this audience doesn't grow and it stays the same for a long period of time. Secondly, which is attached to that, it's a pretty small audience for most people, okay? Even if you add up all of these potential pools of traffic that people could tap into and these sources of people that you could go and potentially promote your business to, it's maybe only a few thousand people at most, okay? And if we think in sort of typical internet land terms, right, you might expect something like a 1% click-through rate. So you might expect, let's say, 10 people at most to sort of convert from that audience, right? And unless you're growing that 1,000 people very, very quickly, month on month, you're probably not going to get much more in the way of success. So we sort of have this, we're on this time scale when it comes to promoting organically. And what a lot of people do is they go for the kill with their organic audiences. Now, you can do that. Something that we teach in our program, the 28-day Launchpad, is this model where you take your organic audiences, you promote things in a way that actually boosts this number, and you try and get the most possible, the largest number of clients from your organic audience. Okay? So if you have 1,000 people, then you put them through something that is a bit more personalized, often a bit more customized to the person, you get something like a 5 to 10% conversion. All right, that starts to look a bit more favorable. But the thing is that the take-home point from this is that this is not sustainable. Okay, you are completely relying on the algorithms of these platforms to let you reach their audiences for free. Okay, you are completely relying on this audience growing over time. For most people, it's the same 1,000 people every single time that they are promoting to. So what do we do instead, right? How do you go about promoting to people if you don't have the money to run ads? Because the problem that most people are in, the situation that most people are in as a coach, is they're maybe starting something brand new, they're funding it from their savings, they haven't got the money to invest in advertising. So how do you go about doing that? Okay, so what we want is a CAP, a client acquisition process. Okay, and ideally what we do here is we put in some traffic. We are able to get ourselves to the position where we can put in £100 of ads and we get £100 back out again. Because of the nature of an online fitness business, that person, that customer, that's one customer, that one customer is probably going to pay you again, right? They're probably going to become a recurring client or customer. So you basically spend £100 to acquire £100 recurring revenue. And down here is where the profit is, okay? So obviously you scale it up and you suddenly, this becomes £1,000 to get £1,000, and then you have £1,000 recurring. The whole thing becomes a bit more appealing, right? But the question is, what is this, right? How do we build this system? So the goal for this usually is a 3 to 5% conversion from leads into customers, from people who express interest to people who've actually transacted with you and paid you some money. Now, doing that, getting a 3 to 5% conversion means that you're in the position where you can afford to take this initial bit of risk because you are pretty sure that you're going to get that number out of there. And so there are a few things that this has to do, okay? There are a few boxes that this has to tick. Remember, what are the attributes of this organic audience? What makes an organic audience so good? Well, they know you, they like you, they trust you. But the downsides are it's the same people every time. So what if we could take some people who didn't know who you were, some people who are cold audiences on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and we warm them up so that they are hot, they are equivalent to your organic audience. They know you, they like you, they trust you. So these are the things that we need to do in this process in order to establish those things. So we usually pick a sales process that's 7 to 14 days long, 1 to 2 weeks. That's because a lot of the time, if you're trying to make a sale in 1 week and you're dealing with an audience, which we do in PropaneFitness, who are pretty busy, they work a big, busy job, they're constantly out of the house, they're very rarely have any time to sit and watch anything or go through anything. Sometimes going to 2 weeks and extending the sales process a little bit means people have a bit more kind of time and attention working with you. All right? So we go for 7 to 14 days. And what we do in that 7 to 14 days is we establish credibility. We say, look, this is who we are. This is how we can help you. Okay? We overcome any limiting beliefs that the person may have. So for the end of those 14 days, I'm going to present our program to them. What might be stopping them from doing that? What's kind of going on in their mind that makes them think, this isn't going to work for me, this isn't right for me, this isn't the right time? How can I kind of meet them where they're at? I'm getting them a result that's usually 10 to 15% of the total result. Okay, so if someone is wanting to lose weight completely, how can I get them the first like 10% of that completely for free? Maybe it's even just shifting their mindset around and giving them a little bit of education. Okay, so I probably am teaching them some stuff. But more importantly, at the end of it, they know who I am. Hopefully, they trust me. And hopefully, although not always, they like me, right? I've kind of compressed this process. I've built myself almost a new organic audience. And I've done that in a way that it's a brand new group of people. This is maybe only 100 to 200 people who come in here. But by the end of that process, they are going to either decide to work with me, about 3 to 5% of them are, or they're going to go into my email list and be followed up by me on a regular basis. But they're equivalent to an organic, they're equivalent to a warm audience. They know who I am. Okay? So how do we get this then? How do we know that something converts at 3 to 5%? And this is where organic audiences really come into play. And this is where if you do things wrong, you can make some mistakes pretty quickly. Okay? So the first thing we do in PropaneFitness, when someone comes on as a client, is we build the CAP, the client acquisition process. All right, we build that first iteration out, and that's a whole process we go through, an entire methodology we take someone through to get them from not having anything like that to having something like that built. All right, then we need to test it. So if we want it to convert at 5%, we need at least 20 people-ish, right? We need at least 20 people to go through it for us to get a valid read, a valid test. Now, your organic audience, let's say you can reach 1,000 people across every platform, and you post something on your Facebook and one of your friends shares it, and one of them shares it, you might reach a few thousand people. There's probably only a few times you can do it. We kind of talk about it as being your lucky 3, okay? You could probably promote this organically 3 times. And that's usually all we need, right? So we have 3 runs where we can test this for free, all right? So we build this client acquisition process. We test it using your organic audiences. We know that that audience, these people up here, they're going to expire. They're going to be worth, like, not nothing to us, but those initial group of people will probably have taken the people from there that are keen to work with us in a couple of runs through of this. So if we continue posting to that organic audience and it's not growing, we're wasting our time. Right? That's why so many coaches say, like, invest all your time in that audience, but it's the same people over and over again. If they didn't want to work with you 2 months ago, sure, some of them may want to work with you now, but you can't rely on doing that as running your business. So we use that organic audience and we take them and we test our sales process with it. We test our client acquisition process with it. And there's an entire trainings on this. Obviously, it's what our coaching really revolves around, is getting this to the point where it converts at 3 to 5%. Right? But once it does, once we've tested that it converts at 3 to 5%, we have a few things in place, right? So the first run, the first successful test, if we put 50 people in, and make some sales, it's supposed to represent money. We get some cash, right? We've not invested anything in there, but we've generated some cash from our organic audiences. We then take that cash and it goes into there, okay? Then we know, firstly, it converted, brilliant. We have a sales process that converts. Secondly, we generated some cash. We've de-risked ourselves. I don't have to put my money back into the sales process. The sales process generated it for me. All right. I then go to some ad platforms, whichever makes the most sense for my audience. I refill the whole process and get even more cash out the back of it. And then the whole thing snowballs. All right. So in answer to your question, when should you be using ads to promote your business? As soon as possible. All right. And if you aren't in the position of doing that and you're stuck in this phase, be aware that those people are going to get bored of what you're saying. All right. We need to leverage our organic audiences appropriately and use that audience to help us get something in place. You probably have 3 chances to promote something to your organic audience, okay, before you need to totally change the angle and totally change what it is you're promoting. Obviously, you could promote completely different things all the time, but as an online coach, you probably have 1 or 2 programs. You probably aren't going to keep making programs to promote to the same audience. All right, so we have a few times to do this. Let's do it properly. Take that organic audience, build your sales funnel, build the way that you are going to start getting clients into your business. All right, use that organic audience to promote that sales process, generate some cash without taking any risk on. You haven't paid for any software, you haven't built anything complicated, and then use that cash to reinvest back into the process. Use that to get advertising up and running. You haven't paid for the ads yourself, the process has. And that's the risk-free way or the risk-managed way of setting this up and running this properly. If you got any questions or any thoughts, leave them in the comments below. Hopefully this is helpful. Speak to you soon.